Every so often, my husband Joe comes home from work without having had that beer on the ride home. I've always thought, big deal, he's just starting a little late. But there's no doubt he's going to start. He'll head for the fridge and mix a batch of martinis, and he'll be off to the races. I get so angry. He's grumpier those times he hasn't had his beer. He barely speaks to me when he comes through the door. It's as if I don't exist. I secretly prefer when he's had a drink on the way home. At least then he notices me. I can't help myself. When he hasn't had that beer, I let him know how disregarded I feel, and how the whole evening is going to go, and how he should just go to a bar and get it over with. So I did up a list of times when Joe doesn't drink, like occasionally on his way home from work and when he's doing what's rewarding to him. Oh, he loves pizza, and he loves to golf. He'd love me to golf too. He tried to teach me how to swing the club a couple of years ago, but it went by the wayside. I'm not crazy about golf, but I'd be glad to spend a little time with him sober. Oh, Joe has a sweet tooth, but not when he's been drinking. So one of the times he came home from work and hadn't had that beer on his way home, I knew it from his mood. He was grumpy. I couldn't smell the beer on him when I hugged him, and I told him I was glad he was home. I had to hug him to make sure about the smell of booze. I looked him in the eye, gave him a big smile, and said, "Hey, you smell good." That's our code for not smelling of booze. Pizza is easy to give on the spur of the moment. So I suggested I call in for it, and I mentioned the baseball game on TV. He agreed to a walk before the pizza arrived. When we got home, he made those martinis. He hadn't drank for 2.5 hours after coming home. We enjoyed ourselves on the walk. When the pizza arrived, I had one slice and went to read in bed. He spent the evening alone on the couch with his baseball game and martinis. I tried again 3 weeks later. I hugged him and I couldn't smell any beer. I said, "How about we go to the driving range and you help me with my swing? It's a beautiful day. I've put clubs in the back of the car. I've made up a thermos of that lemonade you like and some cookies for the road." I had made up the lemonade ahead of time and tucked it into the back of the fridge. The homemade cookies were in the freezer and took just a moment to microwave. I rushed him out the door and his golf shoes were in his hand. The plan had been relatively easy to put in gear once he was full of lemonade and cookies. We worked on my swing for a while, and before we left the range, I told him how happy I was to spend time with him. I left out the part about being sober for the moment because I thought that might upset him, but I think he got the message anyway. We went to the soda-only pizza parlor for dinner, came home, and went to bed. A whole evening without drinking, and some quality time together, remembering that we could laugh, even though what was most funny about it all was my golf swing.
Let's now turn to what makes a reward a good reward. So what would a list of rewarding things look like to your loved one? The basic rule is to make sure your list is made up of things that are pleasing to your loved one, not to you or to anyone else. So cleaning the kitchen cabinets may make you happy, but I suspect it's not pleasing to your loved one. So for example, a smile, a scrunch on the back pizza, a gaming video, flowers from the garden, a card, or maybe it's a ticket to a college basketball game. It may be tough to come up with things that your loved one likes if your loved one has stopped doing almost everything except drink or use. If you need to, think back on those things they used to like before the addiction took such a hold. If possible, choose a reward that meets the same need as the one filled by the use. You made a list of these in your key observations. So for instance, the need for peace and ease at the end of a hard day at work is met by drinking. But are there rewards you can provide that also can help create a peaceful environment, such as a walk in the woods or a shoulder rub? You want rewards that are easy to give, so think of those things that are inexpensive or even free. There can be some pricey things on the list, perhaps tickets to a sports event or the theater, but make sure to include sufficient low-cost items such as a gaming video or a picnic lunch. Ideally, the reward should be given immediately upon seeing the behavior you want to reinforce. This is called pairing in behavioralism. Providing immediate feedback is strongest. If you're not able to pair the reward immediately with the sober behavior, you may need to add an explanation. So for instance, I loved that you came home last night and weren't high, so I cooked you this special breakfast. And the reward should be easy to give. A reward shouldn't be a stretch for you or something you feel conflicted about. An example of this might be having sex. It should also be relatively easy to take away or not renew, like a small sum prepaid cell phone. A reward can be something you've tried before, but that didn't work. It still may work, but what is needed is to clean up its timing or adding in a positive comment. This was the case with a mom who liked to hunt in the gaming video bin at Walmart for videos her son would like. She used to just bring them home and give them to him, regardless of the shape or mood he was in. We suggested she continue to get those gaming videos, but that she keep it in her purse and wait for a moment when her son came home from school sober. Only then would she pull out the video and express thanks for his eyes looking so clear. So there are 4 kinds of rewards. The first is stuff, like the video games or tickets to a ball game or a favorite food. The second is verbal comments. They are very easy to give. Remember to be as specific as possible. So for example, it really saves me time when you take out the trash. The third kind of reward are nonverbal behaviors, such as eye contact or a pat on the back. Point your body towards them, sit up, be attentive, act like you care about what they're saying. The fourth kind of reward are activities, such as a visit to the dog park. Perhaps you give each other back rubs, or you walk to the corner for ice cream. Here are a few points on giving praise. If your praising at first doesn't work, perhaps you need to be more specific or less flowery. I like how you thought ahead and moved the car into the garage before the storm. Try a few different ways to praise if you're not succeeding. Thanks, I appreciate that. Maybe all that's needed. Use your positive talk skills. Be specific and brief. I know it's not easy for you to stop on your way home and pick up milk, so thanks. For some of you, it might just need to start with omitting the negative talk. For others, if you've been praising all the time, even when they're under the influence, omitting these praises when they're using is the first place to start. Remember, the idea is to be strategic in your words and actions.